Y'all know it's Wednesday, and we back in the building. Eagles Elite Podcast. We in season 3, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Back again. More Eagles talk. Hey, there's always things going on within the world of Philadelphia Eagles. We're gonna be talking about the running back position. What's going on with that? We're gonna be discussing things happening uh, with the reports that came out regarding our boy Saquon Barkley and Hard Knocks. We got 2 more games to review for you, and of course, news and notes, rumors, all that good stuff. So, hey, we're gonna get into it. We're here to give you all your good Eagles information all season, off season, preseason, postseason, everything. We in the building, ready to talk some Eagles with y'all. So let me get my guy in the building, Wyatt. You know what I'm saying? What up, Wyatt?
What's going on, cool? What's going on, Eagles Nation? Excited to be back here talking about Eagles. A couple weeks to go until training camp happens and everything. I'm excited. Football's almost here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Philly is in the building with a Fly Eagles Fly. Absolutely.
Going
What
Philly,
up,
Philly.
Philly? Fly Eagles Fly all the time and twice on Sundays or Mondays, depending on if we have a Monday night game. All right, y'all. So before we get into things, the first thing we got to do, of course, is we got to get ourselves right. So let's do that. And then we're going to come back and we're going to dig into Eagles Elite, episode 19. Let's go.
The kick is away, and the kick is, it's gone! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. We just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
All right, Wyatt, we back in the building. So it's time to get to it. So y'all know how we do every week. We always start off with a little news, notes, rumors, all that good stuff for you. So Wyatt, what you got for the people tonight? I know you got something. I might slide a little something in there too.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of official stuff. It's just a lot of uniform updates. I mean, there was a couple weeks ago where we were kind of wondering if we were actually going to bring Kelly Greens back because Darius Slay kind of insinuated on a podcast. He wasn't sure if they were bringing them back, but we actually got official dates when we're going to be using them now. Week 9 against the Jaguars and week 17 versus Dallas, which, man, that is super late. Like, and that game could either mean nothing or it could mean the division, possibly, depending on how the season rolls out. I feel like that's far too late to roll out them Kelly Greens. I think they could have kind of spaced it out a little bit better.
Yeah, I saw that and I was kind of like, the first Dallas game probably would be cooler, or another game, even if it wasn't Dallas. But they have this grandiose plan. Hopefully, week 1 we wearing the black because apparently we ain't gonna be wearing the white.
Yeah. And on going along with that, they also announced the uniform combinations for this season, which is a lot of what we were expecting. The midnight green with the white pants, white on white, and then white with the green pants. But they're also bringing back the white on black. They're also bringing back the all blacks, which we've been talking about, and they're also bringing back Kelly Greens and everything. So looking like we're kind of bringing a little bit more different uniform combinations. Not like crazy news or anything, but pretty interesting still.
Yep. It would be dope if we were to see the Kelly Green jersey or white pants. It would be dope too. That'd be a dope, nice little combo.
Yeah, I'd be cool with just like
seeing but just
midnight green. Yeah, like midnight green on black or midnight green on midnight green pants would be cool too. Like an all green type uni. That would be dope.
All green would be nice. All green would definitely be nice, man. I'm with it.
But other than that, I don't really have too much information other than the Saquon stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what we do with that and how that ends up rolling out. They have a couple more pieces of information that I was looking into here. So Jason Kelsey and Team 62 at the Ocean Drive, that event, it did raise $865,000, and it's still rising for autism research and care. So big for me for that. And the reason that's big to me is autism is an important thing. Like it's not something that is like a deadly disease or anything, but it affects a lot of people, and there's different levels to it. So having that money, raising money for research for that is really big to me. As I do know people who do have autism as well. So I'm happy that they're doing that. I know other teams are doing it as well, but this is the Eagles, so we're talking about what the Eagles do. So very happy that, they do that. And this is something they've been doing for years, every year. This is not like a one-time thing. This is something that they do. So I like that as well. And also a bit of not the best information, but it's still news.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to try to go to one of them each year, but then I see videos about like how many people are just packed at the beach or packed at that bar, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm probably good on that. I want to go to like one of the Eagles autism like charity runs or the bike rides that they have too in Philly. I would like to go to them one time.
Yeah, and also the other bit of news that I have is the longtime Philadelphia broadcaster Howard Eskin is banned from Citizens Bank Park for the remainder of the Philly season. He made an unwanted advance toward a female employee in May. He got accused of giving her, basically he gave the person an unwanted kiss. So we're not talking about like a hug, we're talking about a kiss. They looked into it and they found out that it did happen. So they had to take matters into their hand, and he's been banned from Citizens Bank Park. So, Howard, I know you're 73, but you can't go around kissing women who don't want to be kissed, sir. We can't do that.
Can't do it.
Yeah. So, you do the stuff, you have to pay the price. So, Howard, do better, man. No more dirty old man things, but we can't have that. It's not
be better.
No more. Yeah. No more dirty and behaviors, because it's definitely what that is. There's some more things we could talk about, but we're gonna hold off on those because I want to make sure we got time to dig into the next topic. We're gonna move to a few commercials, as well as the two games, and talking about the running back room. We talked about the running back room before, but now training camp's coming, so we kind of hitting some of the positions, talking about them, let you know what you can expect to see, at least going into training camp. Now we get into training camp, some people might step up and take somebody's position. And if they do, let's get it. But we're going to hit into our first break of the evening, good people. So we will be back with you here in a few moments.
Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony, or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another beating a dead horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson, live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted Gunther against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there, seen LA Knight. Oh, okay. And then LA Knight hopped out the car. Let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings Monarchs of Wrestling. Live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel.
And also shout out 502 Angel Radio, as you will be hearing us broadcast there. And if you're listening to us from any place other than the Eagles Elite podcast page on YouTube, we greatly appreciate you sliding on over to the Eagles Elite page and liking, sharing, subbing, and hit the notification button so you can find out every time your boys and your people are live. So, well, next thing, of course, we're going to talk about is Hard Knocks. So the reports, for those of you who may not have paid attention or heard, or just, kind of been on the grind, so you may not have got any information. On the first episode of Hard Knocks, it's going to be a focus on Saquon Barkley and for the Giants and why they let him walk. And to make a long story, the Giants GM Joe Schoen, or however you say his name, and the director of player personnel Tim McDonald, they wanted to keep Saquon, but they didn't feel like he was going to get $12 million a year, and they didn't feel like he was worth $12 million a year. So they wanted to address the offensive line and then see what else they could do. But they basically did not want to pay Barkley, and then they didn't believe that also that any team with a $20 million per year receiver would pay Barkley what he was asking for. So they thought that basically he was gonna go out there and not get what he was looking for, and then they were gonna be able to come back and hit him with a lower number. They did realize they might need to pivot and find somebody else. But I will say this about the Giants, and Wyatt, feel free to say whatever you want to say. You suck, Giants, right? And I'm not saying this from a place of hate. I'm just saying you're not a very good team. Your quarterback is not good, but you paid him, and that's going to hurt you. Thank you for letting Saquon go. And when it comes out, and everybody sees all the bits and pieces and the words that you said and how it was, phrased and everything, is going to be even more damning than what we probably have here from what we've heard so far. But that's why we say the Giants will giant. Things like this.
Yeah. I mean, they even talked about like the possibility of doing like a sign trade, but they weren't sure anybody would even go for that. They didn't think that anybody would be wanting to pay him on the free agent market. And then like you said, they talked about like, oh, we got to shore up our O-line. We're paying Daniel Jones all this money, not to just hand off the ball to a running back, because that's all we've been doing for the past couple of years. And it's like, well, you didn't even take care of your O-line, like you were going to say throughout the draft and the offseason. So like, you didn't do that. And you didn't really do much to help Daniel Jones in the long run. Not that's going to really say much, because Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones. But I mean, a lot of the like New York fans are out here blaming Barkley whenever this happened and all that. And I just don't understand how they can look at these clips that are coming out, or even like once we see a full episode, like how can they sit there and watch that and feel good about the state of the organization, even with a kind of a new regime in there? Because I know if I was a Giants fan watching this, I would be pissed. Like, I just don't understand how you could sit here, because even it seemed like a lot of the other dudes in the room that were talking with like the GM and all that, they seemed like they didn't want to let Barkley go at all either. And then they like brought up the like his age and all that, and it's like, well, the dude you have on the roster is like a year younger than him. I think, or something like that. He's very close in age to Saquon. So it's like, it seems like they were just trying to find a reason to get rid of him at some point. Even though he was the main focal point and the best part of that team for a couple years now, even though he had, injury history and whatnot. I'm just glad he's an Eagle as of right now, because I mean, he's going to be behind a dominant O-line. We're actually going to be able to see what he's capable of, especially on a team with more weapons. But hopefully, like, all this kind of quiets the hate down around Saquon himself. Because I mean, whenever this actually came out, they were saying the Giants didn't even make him an official offer, so they just kind of just let him walk. And as we all know, as of right now, there was no tampering between the Eagles and Saquon. There was no evidence of that. So the Giants really fumbled the bag here with Saquon, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah, I just think it's funny how we get so not us, but fans in general, not Eagles fans, of course, because we're the biggest problem that I think anyone that I know has with the Saquon Barkley signing is he going to stay healthy? I don't think anybody feels like he's not a good back or a guy that can help the team be much better, catch the ball out of the backfield, run the ball, and all those things. But injury history. But at the same time, we do have to acknowledge, and I acknowledged this several times on the show, he was playing on that crappy Giants field like half the season.
Yeah, true.
And a lot of people have been injured, attempting to play on that field. Not saying that that's the only reason he got hurt, not making excuses, but that is a fact. We've had several players have some type of injury, maybe not like a career-ending injury or anything, but a couple of injuries playing on that same field. So that's dangerous. Also, man, clearly, if the Giants, in my opinion, would have offered him a reasonable contract, if the Giants would have said, we can't give you exactly what whoever you're attempting to go to is give you, but we can give you this. Do you want to stay? I feel like he would have stayed. But I feel like when you basically don't give a guy a real offer, right? You basically say you don't matter to us. Don't be surprised when that guy says, okay, I don't matter. Cool. I'm going to go over here where they do appreciate me. And that's who I'm going to rock with, and that's what I'm going to do. And can you really be surprised or blame this man for doing that? He came to a team that's a good team. It happens to be in a division, which gives you 2 shots a year at the team that didn't want you. And then on top of that, you also have an opportunity to be like, you know what? We're going to get you. And the Eagles are a better team.
Yeah. And I mean, they spurned him last year, like whenever they were trying to do the contract negotiation last year, and they were lowballing him, and then they decided to franchise tag him on top of that. So, I mean, this was just snowball, and this was kind of building throughout, the past couple of years here. And it just came to a head, and especially with that, the new GM and, organization over there in New York or New Jersey, wherever they're located. It just didn't seem like they wanted him around. They wanted to kind of move on and try to develop a future for that offense. And it's like, you just let go easily the best player on your squad there, at least on the offense. So it's a hell of a place to start.
Easily the best player. Now, I won't say that they didn't get some people in that are going to be good players too. I won't say that.
Yeah.
What I will say is, based on what they had at the time, yeah, that's the best player, easily. And then when you do that, man, I mean, you put yourself in a bad situation. Now you got a guy that's now motivated to really get to you when he see you every time, because you didn't just play him. And I would hate to be a Giants fan this coming year when you play the Eagles. I'm gonna just leave that there.
Especially with all this happening now, with these clips coming out, and you mean AJ's coming out, he's like, they ain't even talking about me, and I'm upset pretty much. Like, let's go out here and get it. Like, it's just going to give Saquon even more motivation going back to the Meadowlands.
Yeah, and his teammates are supporting him. AJ came out saying a bunch of positive things about him and everything. So everybody, team-wise, loving him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing a great job of ingratiating himself to the team and being a leader. Obviously you don't know the playbook as well as other guys, but you don't have to know the plays to be a leader, right? You don't have to know everything about the company to walk in and be the leader. It's mindset. It's, all the other things that you're doing. He seems to be doing those things very well. So excited for what he brings to the team. We're going to talk about him and the other running backs here in a bit as well. But before we do that, a couple of comments here. Snowman Multimedia is in the building. He says, #Fly Eagles Fly. What's up, gents? What's up, Snowman? Thanks for tuning in. And also, we got the man, Sam Jess. from
Sam.
Shady Sports in the building. Sam, what's up? Appreciate you tuning in as well, man. We love all the people that want to tune in, fans or non-fans. Whoever want to tune in and hear us talk about the Eagles, we here for you. We got
Absolutely.
you. It's no problem. Trust me. Me. But before we get to our next topic, which of course will be the first of the two games that we're covering, we're going to take another quick break here, and then we'll be back. Get you some more good juiciness about what's been happening. Let's go.
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do two circles, and that translates to, I can be the black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. Whether it's the men's college game,
The way that this season has been going, anything is possible.
the women's college game,
And how passionate Angel Reese was at that press conference, they got their mojo now.
the WNBA,
AJ Wilson on Twitter 1 and 2, followed by Brittany Griner, Aaliyah Boston, Jackie Young,
or the NBA.
The Lakers had a 0.8 chance of winning. And then what happened in the fourth quarter? LeBron James by himself outdid the Clippers.
You will get any and all of the information right at your fingertips or your earlobes. Join the Playmaker as he breaks down all things basketball in Shooting Lights Out on the Playmakers blog, network, YouTube channel, and where you can find podcasts.
All right, so we are back in the building. So Wyatt was unable to be with us last week, which he may be happy about because he didn't have to talk about the Jets game. So this week, we've got a win here in this game. So the Eagles and Dolphins game, October 22nd. So we did win the game. But even within this game, donut hole in the middle, other issues, we saw precipitating towards what happened, right, down the road. Mm-hmm. Cracks were there. Things were not good, even in this game. But it was a 31-17 win over the Dolphins. So, Wyatt, man, give us your thoughts on this particular game.
Yeah, I mean, just off of the games that we reviewed so far, I would say it was one of our better games, even though there was a lot of mistakes in there. I mean, you still had Jalen Hurts with the interception that it wasn't completely his fault. I mean, he threw it, it got tipped by one of the defenders and just bounced into somebody else's hand. Wasn't completely his fault, but it's a turnover regardless. He did have a fumble in there as well. Didn't look good. Took the offense a little bit to get rolling throughout that first quarter. I think they only had like 3 points in that first quarter, both teams. But then they were able to get it going, the offense going throughout the rest of the game here. They actually, like, watching this, it really like shows you how underutilized Dallas Goedert is, because it's like every time he gets the ball, he's just a yard after catch machine. And you see that with the screen that he ends up getting a touchdown on here. And there's a couple other like deep passes that he ended up getting. But AJ Brown, absolutely went off as well. This is during that, him breaking that Calvin Johnson record. I'm pretty sure he had 137 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift was underutilized as well because they decided to use Kenny Gainwell in some of the worst situations possible for some odd reason. But Jalen Hurts, he had 279 yards and 2 touchdowns, even with an interception. I'm pretty sure he had a rushing touchdown in there using the brotherly shove. But he also was in second in rushing yards of 21. And this is where, just rewatching this tape, you can really see something wasn't right with Jalen Hurts when he was running. You could tell there was an obvious limp that he had there. He was trying to hide. So he definitely wasn't 100 through the whole course of the season here. And we knew that. But I mean, AJ, 137 yards. Dallas Goedert had 77 off of 5 catches. And I mean, he had a couple catches in the next game we're going to talk about too. But overall, as the season, like, they should have been using Dallas Goedert way more than they did. Like, he's an absolute beast. And I mean, the times they did use him, they were just trying to force screens with him, which were working a lot of the time. But they just kind of went away from doing that and started using weird screens with like Devontae Smith, or trying to have Smith block for somebody else. But man, the defense surprisingly held their own. This is one we were really worried about this season, especially with the Dolphins, with Waddle and Tyreek Hill and the way the Tua was playing. But the defense was doing really well, mainly because they were putting a lot of pressure on Tua. They were getting home a lot of these plays. Nolan Smith ended up getting a sack in this game. And I think Hassan Reddick got one of the ones towards the end of the game as well. Josh Sweat, I'm pretty sure, got one. But the defense was actually eating. Darius Slay ended up getting a pick at one point. But the main thing is they were putting a ton of pressure on Tua, which is a lot of what we weren't seeing in these previous games, and even games, coming up that we're going to be talking about. So, I mean, the defense did what we wanted them to do, what they needed to do, because obviously with the kind of offense that the Dolphins had, we weren't expecting the defense to be able to hold them the whole game. But I mean, you allowed them 3 points in the first, 7 in the second, 7 in the third, and nothing in the fourth. So I think they did exactly what they needed to do for us to win this game. The offense just should have taken a lot more chances and could have put up a lot more points on this and put this way out of reach a lot earlier in the game. They're just making dumb decisions. And a lot of that comes from the play designs, just the plays taking way too long to develop. Hurts is just chilling there in the pocket, taking, sacks he shouldn't be taking, or, trying to run. He doesn't get anywhere, just making throws that aren't needed to nobody that's open. A lot of the same mistakes, like you mentioned, but they were able to get that dub because they were able to move the ball a lot more effectively than these other games we talked about in the season. And that defense, man, I got to give them props, even though they leave in the middle of the field wide open at times and creating some bad plays on their end. They still only allowed 17 points to the Dolphins with a high power offense. So, I mean, they did exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Tua did give us an interception back as well, so thank you for helping us out there. We appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
We never looked comfortable, like you said. We talked about our running game. They didn't run the ball well either. Mostert only had 45 yards. Ahmed had 3, and then Tua had -3 yards. So they didn't run the ball well or throw the ball too well, which is why they only got 17.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek got a touchdown. Jalen Waddle ended up going out of the game, which was helpful for us, right? Because we did not have the 2 guys. So, that was definitely beneficial. They did have 2 sacks from Bradley Chubb. Damian Phillips also got a sack. So they did get to Hurts more than they should have. I feel like, and I was saying last week, I think he got hurt in that Jets game. And I think he didn't want to obviously miss any games and everything. But he took some tough hits in that Jets game, and he was slow getting up a couple times. I think he got hurt in that Jets game, and he just never really got a chance to heal up. I definitely agree. Goddard needs to be used more, and hopefully they look back at the film like we're doing from last year and see there was a lot of opportunities to get Goddard involved, and you waited on a long ball trying to get AJ the ball or Devontae the ball or make a big home play.
Mm-hmm. Which is what they try to do the whole season, is force the long shots.
Here. Julio had 1 catch for 3 yards. He had just gotten with the team, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Swift never got enough catches last season either. You have to be able to use your running back in that type of situation as well. I definitely did a lot of points that we left out on the field, a lot of plays that should have been handled differently. Sweat did get 2 sacks in this game. Smith did get a sack. Cox got half a sack. Davis got half a sack as well. So we had a lot of guys, getting to the quarterback. And then we're not even going to talk about rushes or, making the quarterback uncomfortable. Big play Slay did get the pick. Not a big surprise. He's the guy that normally does that, at least last season. New season, so we'll see if any of that changes. And then just to give y'all some team stats. So total yards, we only gave up 244 yards to the Dolphins. We had 355. They had 109 passing yards. We had 256. They had 45 rushing yards. We had 99 yards per play. Theirs were 5.1. Ours were 5.2. So the yards per play were really about the same. It's just that we had more plays. First downs, they only had 12. We had 26. They were 4-11 on third down. We were 4-12 on third down. Now, here's where the difference is, and this even was a concern for me. First down, they were 0-2. We were 4-4. So we got a Dolphins team that we're pretty much controlling, and we have to go for it 4 times on fourth down. Now, we were successful with all of them, but Jalen Hurts is not 100%. You understand the type of stress continually running the brotherly shove, sometimes we did it on third down too, has on the offensive line. We're getting still. That's what we decided to do. Right. Wasn't happy with some of that, but when you're winning, people don't want to listen. We did allow 3 sacks. They allowed 4. They punted 3 times. We only punted once. We had 20 more total plays in them, 68 to their 48. We didn't have any penalties in the game. They had 10 for 70 yards. We didn't have any penalties. We did lose a fumble. And in time of possession, it was 36-43 for us, 23-17 for the Dolphins. So when you look at those things besides the score, you think, man, Philadelphia must have had like 40-some points. They must have beat them like 45 to 10 or 13 or something. But just always that we give up a little bit more than we should. Like even in this, which like you said was probably our best looking game of the year. If you're watching it as overall and then look at the stats as well, but still, it wasn't fantastic. There's a lot of clunky plays, a lot of missed opportunities. A lot of them even knowing, understanding some of the plays, they just didn't get a lot done offensively because our defense for this game was able to get them in a position where that hole in the middle wasn't as concerning because they lost Waddle, right? Honestly, to me, the reason it looked as good as it did for us as a fan, wishing this wasn't true, was because of Waddle. Waddle plays, things are a little tougher, but hey, that's how games go. Sometimes they go well, sometimes they don't, but you continue to keep it moving either way. And we got Scrub Zero in the building. Scrub says, "What up, Eagles fam?"
What's going on,
what
Scrub?
Up, Scrub? Appreciate you having you in the chat, man. Scrub is one of the people that contribute with me on my NFCB show that we will have back on the BS3 network here once the season gets revved up. Probably the week or 2 before week 1, we'll do a show. We haven't ironed out all the details yet, but we'll definitely be bringing something to you. So any more thoughts on this? I guess probably one of our best win of the season.
No, other than game wise, I think it was just cool to have, because this is the first game we actually had the Kelly Greens back in action in quite some time. It was nice to see like the actual field and the whole stadium, the link actual decked out and Kelly Green and the old logo and everything. It was pretty sweet, and of course, having a win on top of it with the way that we were able to win 31-17, it was nice. A nice little cherry on top.
Absolutely. Hey, Scrub, that chat gonna be popping here soon, so just make sure you're paying attention. We're gonna get it popping. All right. Another quick break here, guys. We'll come back, and then we're gonna talk about the running back room and kind of preview that, the running backs going into camp. I know we've talked about them before, but hey, sometimes we have the people that slide in, but sometimes you just got to remember what's happening, because the season is going to be here before we know it. And it's going to be glorious.
Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Bobby J and Wise El Jefe, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central. On the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Left side.
All right, good people. We are back in the building. So we're going to talk a little bit about, the running back room, what we got going on in the running back room. We know who the starter is. There's no questions about that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no if this happened, if that happened. The only way we don't see Saquon Barkley out in that field week one as a starter is if, Lord forbid, but he's injured. If he's healthy, he's the starter, right? But it's not just about the starter, right? It's never just about the starter. It's the guys that are expected and projected to play behind him, right? So I'm going to give you the full depth chart as of now, before training camps come, for the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 1, Saquon Barkley. Number 2, Kenneth Don't Gainwell. Number 3, the newly acquired Will Shipley. Number 4, Kendall Milton. Number 5, Terrion Price. And number 6, Lewis Nichols. I would anticipate us keeping 3 at the most, if one's going to be used as like a kick returner as well, 4. But I think we'll keep probably 3 and take the extra that we kind of had last year and put that at the wide receiver spot, which we really need to do for this coming season. And of course, we have a guy wide receiver who can run the ball some of mute. That'll help negate just having 3 if something were to happen to one of them in the game. The biggest financial investment here is Saquon Barkley. I think we're all pretty clear on that. They tagged him in 2023 with the Giants. So we had a feeling he wasn't going to be bad once he got the tag, especially since nothing was done for the offseason. Didn't think he would end up in Philly. But like I said, injury concerns is the only concern. Came out in 2018 draft, had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage, 15 touchdowns, was the offensive rookie of the year. Tore his ACL in 2020, missed 14 games. 2022, came back and had 1650 from scrimmage, 10 rushing touchdowns. He was the best weapon on the Giants team that went to the playoffs, and if they did not ride him into the ground, they wouldn't have got there. They cycled through quarterbacks in 2023. He had 962 yards and 6 touchdowns. He only averaged less than 3.89 yards per carry, but it was better than a 2.82 that everybody besides him averaged out. So that's telling you that if he wasn't on the field, the offense was ugly. And just to give you a quick history lesson, those Eagles show, but just to give you a quick history lesson. Here's the other backs that was on that team with him last year. Matt Breida, Eric Gary Brightwell, Deion Jackson, and Jashawn Corbin all got carries for the Giants last year. So Wyatt, I went over kind of what happened. I as far as how he got to Philly and all that. We talked about that. But talk to us about his career rushing yards, and if you have anything you'd like to add to the things I talked about. But like, rushing yards, what he did as a receiver, that stuff. It's a little bit for us.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, he didn't have. Oh, go ahead. I didn't know you were finished. My bad. But yeah, like you said, he does have that injury history there. But even with a terrible O-line, and they didn't. Even with Daniel Jones, they didn't look great, but they looked even worse without Daniel Jones. He still had almost 1,000 yards last year, 962 and 6 touchdowns. So just coming to Philly with the dominant O-line, even without Jason Kelce, he's still going to look like the monster he was a couple of years back. And I think he's definitely going to have over 1,000 yards as long as he's able to stay healthy, and hopefully get him some more touchdowns as well. Utilize our running backs in the red zone a little bit more. That way we don't have to do the brotherly shove near as much. What was that?
I said less tush pushes.
Exactly. Yeah. Less tush pushes. That way we, keep Jalen Hurts healthy and keep him as healthy as long as possible throughout a long season like this. But I mean, as a receiver, he had some decent yards. I mean, last year he only had like 280, but earlier in his career he had like 720 his rookie season, 430 next season. I mean, he got hurt after that, but he was getting around like 300 yards almost a season as far as receiving goes. So that's going to help us out big time as long as we're able to utilize that talent. And I mean, we're going to get to some more running backs who are also capable of doing that. But that's another like little trick up your sleeve, something that you have in your back pocket in case you need to, like on short yardage situations. Just toss it out to Saquon, have him run it 10 yards, 15 yards. That's something we'll be able to do that we should have been doing last year with Swift because he was capable of doing it, and we only did it like a certain amount of times. We didn't do it very often with him when we should have. Because I remember last season, before we even got into the regular season in training camp, we kept seeing all these like training camp videos of them throwing it and out of the backfield to DeAndre Swift. And then we barely did it in the season. So we really need to utilize this season and utilize everything that Saquon can do because he's a beast.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. Definitely a really good player. Catching the ball as well as rushing the ball. I mean, he has over 5,200 yards rushing in 6 seasons. And think about 2020, he only had very minimal yards and carries because of injury. So, if he had a full year that year based off what else he's done, he would have well over 6,000 yards, rushing the ball. In 2021, again, he only had 162 carries. So you get 2 years where he definitely was injured or coming back from injury, didn't play a whole season. He still has over 5,000 yards in 6 seasons.
Yeah,
and he lost over a season of games in those 2 seasons together. So you can kind of see where he's going there. And like you said, 2,100 yards receiving for his career as well. So this is a guy that could get it done in both aspects of the game. Last year, we did not do a great job. Of course, a new staff, so hopefully it's not repeated, but we didn't do a good job of utilizing the running back in either facet of the game as they should be. We didn't run the ball enough, and we didn't use the running back in the passing. I think a lot of that was the way that it called, but also some of that is our QB. But when you're coached that way for most of the season, it can sink a little bit deeper into you and get you kind of in that mind state. I'm not going to sit here and completely blame other people because, execution is also the players. But I will say that I think Saquon gives us the best weapon we've had back there. A guy who wanted to keep, guy we actually felt like we should have just kept him. But I think when that Saquon opportunity came up, we got to grab it. He's not the same guy he was before. But he can still do everything. He just may not be as explosive just because injuries, and then he's not as young as he was. But this is going to be a really good line. So it's going to be some big holes. So it's going to be times when you're getting down the field a good ways before you're even getting hit. So that's going to make a big difference in what he can do. Then behind him, they have Kenneth, who doesn't game well. I mean, though that's staff, right? Love this guy way more than fans and media. And being I kind of consider myself both, I echo what both think. This guy should have never been an RB1 for 2023. That was a travesty, a joke, and a poor show of just how foolish they really are.
Yeah, especially coming off the year that Swift had with the Lions previously.
And even just talent-wise, enough that you're going to tell me that Kenneth Gainwell showed you in practice and in camp for him to beat out DeAndre Swift for that role as the number one back. That's a joke. That's you having your own.
Because he was running back 3 the year previously behind Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. So like, what did he do to make it warrant getting the running back 1 spot? It doesn't make any sense.
Yes. This dude had 23 red zone carries last year for 2.3 yards a carry. He only had 53 yards on those carries. Way too many red zone carries for your small back. It's silly. Yeah. As a receiver, in 2021, 68 receptions, 290 yards, 91 yards, 40 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns. 2022, 53 receptions, 240 yards, 4.5 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. Here's what's going to piss you off if you're an Eagles fan. In 2023, with DeAndre Swift, who is a better catcher of the ball out of the backfield, this man had 84 receptions, only had 364 yards for 4.3 yards per catch and 2 touchdowns. So the most receptions of his career, on par with yards, only had 364 and the least amount of touchdowns. This is the guy you want to sit here and say should be fringe running back 1 and solidified as running back 2 when you have Boston Scott on the team. Y'all stop it. You can't give me that and expect me to respect it, understand it, or appreciate it. Your thoughts on Gainwell?
Yeah, for anybody that watches the show knows that me and Cool are the conductors of the hate train as far as Kenny Gainwell is concerned. I don't know. I just never been really a fan of this dude. There's way more talent with Boston Scott than he's ever shown, than Kenny Gainwell's ever shown us. And I, like you said, I don't have any clue why they would use him in red zone situations, especially when you have DeAndre Swift there, who say if he gets hit, he's falling forward like 3 yards. He's got to get you a couple yards out of it, where Kenny Gainwell's getting hit and falling backwards. He's not going forward at all. He's getting picked up and being moved. I mean, in the next game we're going to talk about, he did have a nice touchdown. He has his moments here and there, but they're kind of too far between having these nice, like, kind of solid moments. But I would have felt way more comfortable with Boston Scott, because he actually runs with, he runs hard, he runs with effort. He's a little bit, smoother finding the holes. He's quick to decide where he wants to go. I just was never sold on Kenny Gainwell, and I just don't believe all of the things that we've heard from Silly Sirianni, like, oh, you don't see what we see in practice. He shows us what he's able to to accomplish. Like, we don't really see him catching the ball out of the backfield too much. You only really hand it off to him on certain occasions, most of the occasions are when he shouldn't be getting the ball. I don't know. It's like he just seems like a typical mediocre running back, like a typical like 2 or 3, maybe a fringe practice squad type player. It doesn't ring as like a running back 1 or a 2 type player to me. It's just something and that's just based off of what we've seen from him these past couple years. So I'm hoping once we're getting to talking about the next running back here, maybe somebody else can kind of step up and maybe take that running back 2 spot away from him.
And speaking of somebody stepping up, we'll talk about him in a minute. We got a comment here from Scrub before we get there. Scrub says the sad truth is that even with Saquon on the field, that offense was offensive.
You ain't lying.
No lies told, sir. No lies detected. I'm not going to argue with the truth. But speaking of someone who could step up and possibly get that number 2 spot, we're going to go to our number 3 back, Will Shipley. 4th round out of Clemson. Been a contributor on offense his rookie year. went to college, played Clemson for 3 years. So in 2021, 149 rushes for 739 yards, 5 yards per carry, scored 11 touchdowns. In 2022, this was his big year. 210 rushes for 1,182 yards, 5.6 yards to carry, 15 touchdowns. You remember 2022, the quarterback position was a lot better at Clemson. 2023, 167 rushes, 827 yards. Still averaged 5 yards per rush and had 5 touchdowns, down from the 15 in 2022. He also, as a receiver, 16 receptions in 2021, 116 yards. That's 7.3 yards per catch. 2022, up to the 38, 242 yards, so 6.4 yards per catch. 2023, 31 receptions, 244 yards, 7.9 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns. He also returned 34 kicks for 904 yards. Didn't score any touchdowns, though, during his college career. Very versatile guy. He's a guy that I think has the skill set and the ability. Worst case scenario, if something happens to Saquon, I think he would automatically jump, or I pray that he would automatically jump Kenny doesn't Gainwell and become our number one, probably in some sort of rotation. But he would be more suitable as an actual number one back if something were to happen. I think it's a good pick in the 4th round for us. A guy that hopefully gets to come in, learn, has the versatility, gets to see 2 professionals in front of him. Maybe by the time the season starts, hopefully there's only 1 professional in front of him. But I think he can get the job done. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely seems a lot more versatile than Kenny Gainwell does. And he was also part of the group that was out there training, outside of the facility with Jalen Hurts. So like a lot of those pictures were coming out. Like he was out there with a lot of the rookies and younger guys working out. But I mean, he has a decent skill set. I mean, he's able to catch. He was a returner in college. Apparently during these OTAs, they were actually having him work out of the slot as a receiver a little bit. So maybe you can kind of develop some little complicated packages where you are kind of sliding him out to receiver at some points. That'd be cool. It just seems like he has a way broader skill set than Kenny Gainwell does, which makes him a lot more useful, most likely within this Kellen Moore offense, debating on how that is, because we don't know what that's going to look like with all these players that we have, because his offense is going to differ from these different teams that he's been on due to these players. We don't know what really he's going to be trying to do with these running backs. So I think hopefully my hope is that he's able to jump Kenny Gainwell just based off his skill set and what he's able to do. We'll see how that happens throughout training camp here and then at the start of the season. Hopefully we see a lot of good things out of him. So, I mean, we heard a lot of good things, coming out of OTAs about him, and it seems like he is a hard worker. He wants to go out there and put the work in. It seems like Jalen Hurts, I mean, we talked about it previously. It seems like he's kind of stepping up as that leader and trying to be more involved with a lot of these guys. So, I mean, having these younger guys come out to these type of things and show out, that definitely, it looks good in Jalen Hurts' eyes and also within the organization's eyes as well, that he wants to be there, wants to be one of these, these pivotal positions going forward.
Definitely. As we go through, go ahead, my bad.
Oh, you're good.
As we go through the rest of the backs, man, they're all pretty much the same type of back for me. You got Kendall Milton, you got Davis Price, and then you have the biggest long shot, because I think one of those two have opportunity. The biggest long shot is Lou Nichols. But Lou Nichols is the guy that we like, bowling ball with feet.
Yeah.
Type guy. But all 3 of these are bigger backs. Since I read the 3 big backs are the ones that are at the bottom, and maybe one of them will make the roster. But I would love to see either Milton or Davis Price, or if he outplays them, Nichols at least get an opportunity, right? Maybe there'll be some games where guys don't play for matchup purposes or game plan purposes, and you put one of those guys in. But I would love to see a big back, right? I understand Gainwell's going to be there. Ship is clearly at least right down the 3rd best back. But I'd love to see like Milton, Davis Price make the roster and be that big back that we needed. But Like I said, if you use that on a wide receiver instead, I will not be upset. Let's not carry 4 tight ends this year, please. Then we can have another wide receiver, and we can have a quarterback. We don't need 4 tight ends. We don't need 4 tight ends. I have to put that out there. So yeah, man. That's pretty much. Any thoughts on the other 3 backs from you, man?
Yeah, I mean, they are going to be a long shot to make the roster. Hopefully we are able to keep a couple guys around in the practice squad, like Kendall Milton. I know he is a very a hard runner. Like, he's able to bulldoze through some people. I mean, he's not the bowling ball with feet as far as size wise, but he's a tough runner. He's able to, bust through some dudes, get some yards. So maybe we can keep him on the roster. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep all of them on the practice squad, but it'll be nice to kind of hang on to one of them, and just in case something happens.
Absolutely. So, guys, last commercial break coming. Got a couple for you here. We're going to come back, talk about that last game. Let's go.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We will see about Cup. And running back Kyren Williams to return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You kids from the block. New edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Get in the game at BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Over 50 sports, live betting, online casino, horse racing, esports, and more. Start now and enjoy easy deposits, fastest payouts, and the biggest bonuses. And for over 25 years, BetUS is a name you can trust. Mention TV 150 now and get up to 150% in bonuses. BetUS, we've got your game. Call or visit BetUS.com now to join.
And if you are watching this, I do have the link up on the screen that you can just click on or use to go in so that, your peoples here can get the credit for you making your bets, placing your bets. If you happen to be listening on the radio, it's http://bit.ly/Shady Sports Network -BetUS. Nice and simple. Again, 502 Angel Radio, shout out there, giving us another platform for this great program to be on. Shout out to Shady Sports. Shout out to everyone that is watching or that will watch this program. We appreciate you guys. You guys make it fun for us to come on, do this, talk Eagles, which we love to do anyway, but share our thoughts and our opinions with you guys every week. We always love the interaction. We get it some weeks, other things that happen. You may not be tuning in with us live, so you might not be able to interact. But hey, even on the replays, much love. If you have anything you'd like us to talk about, if you're in our group, shoot our group a page. If not, hey, hit me on Facebook or IG at Cool McCain on Facebook, on IG at Cool_McCain. Hey, we like to talk about what you guys want to hear. All right, so Wyatt, something we may or may not want to hear about. Just depends on how they feel about the team. The Eagles-Commanders game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have very many thoughts on this. I'm just going to be real blunt here. We should have lost this game.
Yeah, for real. 100%.
The Washington Commanders would have had the testicular fortitude to go for it when they scored at the end of the game and not tie it up and go to overtime. They probably would have scored and won the game because we weren't stopping them at all that game. The one time we stopped them was in the third quarter. Other than the third quarter, they scored at least one touchdown every quarter. We didn't do a good job of defense in this game. We're talking about how the last game was a really good game for us. This was not. Sam Howell had 4 touchdowns on us. Sam Howell, the guy that they ran off because of how poor they thought about his performance. Right? Then we let Jahan Dotson almost have as good a game as AJ Brown. Brown did get about 20 more yards and an extra touchdown, but they both had 8 receptions over 100 yards. You know, Swift only had 16 carries. A recurring theme: DeAndre Swift not getting the ball enough.
Mm-hmm.
We better fix that this year. I'm tired of seeing this crap.
Same.
This is a game that we should have lost, and I'll be the first to say it. I don't front, I don't fake, I don't get up here and sing praises of us when we're not good, when we didn't play well. We did not play this game good enough to win in the first half. We played enough to be in the game in the second half, but really should have won this game. I was at this game, and I can tell you the whole first half is piss poor playing. They was chirping. Commanders fans were chirping it of being other Eagles fans. Commanders fans. That's how bad we were playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have no clue how you go from that performance against Miami to this kind of performance against Washington. They weren't putting pressure on the QB at all whatsoever compared to what we were doing with Tua. And this offensive line for the Washington was far worse. Sam Howell was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league up at this point, and we couldn't do a damn thing against him. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he ended up had like 29-38, 319 yards and 4 touchdowns. But Sam Howell, I believe he was like 21-23 at the half or 23-25 at the half. Like, dude didn't miss a pass until the second quarter at some point, halfway through. This defense was just getting torched every which way. They were running the ball on us. They were passing the ball on us. It didn't matter. This was just a shootout throughout the whole game up until the fourth quarter where, the defense actually decides to want to do something. They get some stops here and there. Son Reddick's able to get a sack or two here and there. But, I mean, they're pretty much fighting for their lives this whole game. I mean, we were playing from behind for 3/4 of it until we were able to actually get up and get a lead and be able to, keep the lead somehow. But, yeah, I mean, it seemed like as soon as we tried to get a little bit, something going, something would happen. You give the ball to Kenny Gainwell in the red zone, and he fumbles it immediately. And he ended up the end of the game with
had a ball in the red zone.
2 touches for like -4 yards. I think he ended up getting. Yeah. And I mean, you still didn't give it to DeAndre Swift enough after that. He had 16 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. But AJ Brown, just being the bully that he is, like he was giving the CBs fits on the sidelines. He had 130 yards with 2 touchdowns. He was just out here bullying people. Devontae Smith had 99 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert had 36 yards. Probably should have been used a little bit more, based off of what they were able to do on the field. But man, yeah, that's every game though. But a lot of the same things that we saw, through the first half of the season were present here. And it's just even more evidence like that they weren't trying to fix anything. Not only were they not fixing it, they weren't even trying to fix anything going in between these games. It was just the same old stuff. Receivers not getting open. Some of these plays are getting too long to develop. And they just didn't do anything to change that.
No motion.
No motion. Yeah, nothing. Hurts holding onto the ball too long because nobody's open, and then he tries to decide whether he wants to run, and then he gets sacked or he fumbles. It is terrible.
He running around like a 3-legged goat. You could tell he wasn't healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Reed Blankenship did get a interception though, which was one of the only highlights the defense had.
He did. E-Money Bentley in the building. He says, "Go Birds, go Birds." Appreciate you tuning in as well, E-Money.
Flag.
Yeah, man. This game was
trash.
It was a win, right? And that's the thing. Like, if you look at, we've talked about like 4 of the 8 games we talked about so far, how they were games we could have lost or one we did lose against the Jets. And it's like, the whole time, what is our head coach saying? Oh, any win's a good win. You're not going to always have great wins, blah, 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 blah. And we're out there, and these guys are out there looking bad, but finding ways to win. Comeback wins.
Getting complacent.
And that's not going to last, right? And we said this when we were going over these games. You can't continue to do that. But the one person who didn't understand that was the person who needed to understand it. And that was one Nikki Tight Pants Sirianni. So we won the game, but we look bad winning. Congratulations to us. So Wyatt, man, before we get out of here, you have any last thoughts for the people?
No, I'm just glad we don't have to talk about this game ever again. I'm excited for training camp coming up and everything else we're going to be covering here leading up to training camp. And before you know it, we're going to be into the regular season. I'm super excited.
I got to do this. As I'm sitting there in the stands getting chirped at by Commanders fans, this is all I could think.
That's how I felt rewatching the game. I was like, damn, I don't remember it being this bad.
It's tough, man. It's tough. But hey, as always, make sure you tell them friends and them enemies, just come watch it, boys. You know what I'm saying? Come check us out. Shout out to Diva. She should be back with us next week. Make sure you tell, did that. As always, it's never where you start. It's always where you finish. And hashtag Fly Eagles Fly.
Hashtag Be Elite.
Hashtag Be Elite. We back next week.